Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Games That Never Were. Today we are taking a look at Superman for the Sega Genesis. If you're new to the channel, then listen up! In these videos I explain literally every aspect of the game, from plot, items, box art, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and let's get ready to learn! Superman, known in Europe as Superman the Man of Steel, is a video game released by Sunsoft for the Mega Drive/Genesis in 1992. It is based on the DC Comics character of the same name. It is the traditional single-player side-scrolling arcade game where the player controls Superman through various levels in an effort to defeat the evil supervillain named Brainiac. Other supervillains as bosses include the Prankster, Metello, and Mr. Mxyzptlk. The game was planned to be released on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but was cancelled before it was completed. Versions of the game for the Master System and Game Gear were developed by Kraft Gold and published by Virgin Interactive in Europe as Superman the Man of Steel, which was also the title received by the European Mega Drive version published by Virgin. The story is different in each round of the game, which there are 5 rounds in the entire game, until the final round is reached, finding out the game's antagonist, which is Brainiac. Round 1 starts as children are being kidnapped. Mysteriously, children all over Metropolis are disappearing. Desperately, their parents seek help from the police, but no trace of evidence can be found. Meanwhile, a new story breaks. The prankster has escaped from prison and has been sighted near the premises of WGBS TV station. The authorities have no information leading to his whereabouts. As this news comes over the wire, Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter, can only assume that the missing children must somehow be linked to the prankster's escape. Quickly, he changes into Superman to begin his search. The prankster has, in fact, kidnapped the children. He enticed them with his playful tricks and jokes, and then captured them with tear gas squirted from his lapel flower. When they were close enough, he is holding them captive until he can seek revenge against Metropolis. Round 2 begins as bodies were found in the train station. The chief engineer and several machine operators of the city's new underground train station were found today after days of searching. Patrons who normally ride the train have been asked to find alternate routes of transportation until the crime has been solved. Authorities are still guessing as to why this has happened. Superman researches the blueprints of the Underground Railroad station only to find that its main route ends exactly underneath the Metropolis City Bank, where millions of dollars are safely kept in a sealed vault. Superman wastes no time in arriving at the bank to investigate. Metello has plans to hijack the train and drive it straight through the building's mainframe, which leads into the vault. If the train should hit the building at maximum speed, the building would crumble. Superman must find the train and stop it from crashing into the side of the building. Metello has been waiting for the chance to battle Superman for the last time. Round 3 starts off as Lois Lane has been kidnapped. Lois Lane, reporter for the Daily Planet, has been missing for several days. Neighbors reported loud noises and extremely bright light bursting from her apartment on the day of her disappearance. No traces of evidence were found at the crime scene. Superman has been receiving mental messages that have been causing an extreme amount of pain. In the attempt to hone in on its source, he discovers that it is originating from a location beyond the planet. As he closes in on the source, the message becomes more clear. Brainiac has captured Lois Lane and is inviting Superman to a mental duel where only one can survive. Now, during all of these levels back from the 5th dimension, throughout Superman's journey, he will be tormented by Mr. Mxyzptlk, which has the ability to appear at any time to interfere with Superman's rescue mission. Now, he cannot be damaged by Superman's strength or his superpowers, so the best advice is to watch for him and avoid him when possible. At the beginning of each level, you are equipped with a superpower, either Sonic Punch or Heat Vision. During ground stages, you must use your Sonic Punch, or during flying stages, you must use your Heat Vision, as seen right here. However, both of these powers are not always fully accessible. The superpower gauge is indicated on the lower left portion of your screen. The gauge will automatically fill up as time elapses, and when the gauge is full or near full, both the Sonic Punch and Heat Vision powers are at the strongest level. Upon using these powers a couple of times, the gauge will have been depleted and more time must elapse before you can use them again. However, during flying levels, your only defensive power is your Heat Vision. Therefore, you must use it continually. However, because the superpower gauge is not full, your Heat Vision emission will not be very strong. Conversely, during ground stages, you may utilize normal punching as a defensive action until your superpower gauge fills up again. Now, some enemies or obstacles cannot be destroyed by normal punching or weak Heat Vision. You must wait until your superpower gauge is full and use full strength power against them. Also, it is important to note that you cannot duck and use your Sonic Punch at the same time. Superman punches upward as he jumps, therefore you can eliminate enemies by jumping up while directly underneath them. Also, when you jump up, you can damage enemies by landing on top of them on the way down. During ground levels, you must pick up the Hyperspin item in order to be able to spin through the layers of Earth below. Now, in order to perform the Hyperspin, you must first pick up the blue Hyperspin item. Once this item is picked up, your superpower gauge will automatically change from Sonic Punch to Hyperspin. When you need to use the Hyperspin, a sign will appear that says Spin Here. Press the A button to activate your Hyperspin at the location of the sign. You will drill down into the next Earth layer and proceed with gameplay. However, to change the gauge back to Sonic Punch, you must pick up the red Sonic Punch item. Now, there are different items that will help you along the way, and these items are: the black and white Superman emblem will give you 3,000 points. The yellow and red emblem increases life increments in the life gauge. The blue emblem changes the gauge to Hyperspin and fills the Hyperspin gauge. The red Superman emblem changes the gauge to Sonic Punch, which fills up the Sonic Punch gauge as well. Once a round of gameplay has been completed, a round clear screen will appear. The amount of bonus points you receive will depend on how much energy is left in your life energy gauge. You will also receive points for defeating the boss. Oh no, did we just die? Well, Superman only has one life at the beginning of each game. When the increments of his life gauge have been depleted, the game is over. However, you will have the option to continue twice. To continue playing, press the start button before the time limit has elapsed. Now, you can earn continues by increasing your score. One continue is allotted each time you double your score after 40,000 points. Alright, let's go ahead and get right into the box art. Here we have Superman for the Sega Genesis. This is the North American box art right here. And here is what the North American manual would have looked like as well. And next up is the European Mega Drive version of Superman, also called Superman the Man of Steel. The next one right here is for the Sega Master System. Notice it's the exact same as the Mega Drive. And as a bonus, this is what the Master System version would look like with the manual and the cartridge itself. Last but not least, here is Superman the Man of Steel for the Sega Game Gear. And as a bonus, this is what the Sega Game Gear cartridge looked like. And next up is time for the advertisements. Right here we have Superman for the Sega Genesis. We have Kryptonite not included. And on the very bottom it says there's only one Superman, only from Sunsoft. This would have been included in your DC comic books, especially Superman comic books. Our final advertisement, which was released in Europe, reviews the Master System and Game Gear version of Superman, the Man of Steel. Now notice it says to be announced for the Master System. It doesn't necessarily give a UK release, but at the very bottom right, it gives it a 52% rating. Alright, last but not least, the cost. How much did Superman cost, or how much is it worth right now? Well, I couldn't find out the original MSRP, so I'm probably going to assume it was probably roughly around $40 to $45 when it came out brand new. But loose, right now, we're looking at $20, complete around $46, brand new is $117, and if you get it sealed and graded, it's going to cost $128. There ain't no way I would ever pay $5,000 to $10,000 for a sealed Superman game. Superman the game received from generally mixed to negative reviews. While the game was noted for its decent 16-bit graphics and sound, critics panned this game for its limited usage of Superman's powers and for having a limited storyline. Now, as opinionated as I'm going to sound, this is a really good Superman game, regardless of what critics have to say. To me, it's not about the storyline as it is about the gameplay and the music. The music is one of the best soundtracks the Sega Genesis has to offer. As for people saying you get to see limited powers, you do see Superman's super strength, you see super spin. The only things we don't get to see is we don't get to see his freeze breath or his X-ray vision, and it would be interesting to see how they could incorporate those two powers. So, what do you guys think of Superman for the Sega Genesis? It's a pretty cool game. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very challenging game. Have you played Superman for the Sega Genesis? If so, let me know in the comments below. And like I always say, these are the games that time forgot. These are the games that you've never played. These are the games that never were. I'll see you on the next episode.